Welcome the self-sovereign ones. The most formidable individual in any gathering is the one who finds contentment outside of it. Consider that deeply. Studies reveal that over 60% of individuals confess their inability to endure even a single day without some form of external validation, be it through digital approval, interpersonal affirmation, or the pursuit of ubiquitous acceptance. Yet here you stand navigating existence without craving recognition, poised, composed, and wholly independent of the prevailing spectacle. This very essence is the root of others' envy. Society has been subtly programmed to equate happiness with constant companionship, fostering a belief that solitude is synonymous with lack. However, the reality is quite the opposite. The collective is often deprived of genuine self-discovery, and nothing lays bare this uncomfortable truth more swiftly than a solitary spirit who is distinct, grounded, and unapologetically at peace. The paradox. Those who may outwardly criticize your quiet demeanor or unconventional path are often the same individuals secretly yearning for your inner resilience. You are not swayed by superficiality. You do not applaud empty displays. You do not require a multitude to validate your worth, and this independence ignites a certain frustration within others, for they recognize deep within themselves that they are tethered to the very distractions you are free from. It borders on the absurd when you realize that some individuals expend their mental energy worrying about your indifference towards them. They might attempt to provoke, disseminate negativity, or engage in subtle attacks, but you remain unmoved, savoring your tranquility as if possessing an endless reservoir of inner peace. And nothing is more infuriating than the realization that their turbulence cannot infiltrate your mental sanctuary. Therefore, today we will delve into the core reasons behind the envy directed towards your solitary nature, exploring why your untroubled spirit evokes such strong reactions and how your existence challenges conventional notions of power, freedom, and selfhood. Prepare yourself, for after this exploration you will perceive your solitude in an entirely new light. Number 1. People envy the autonomy they lack. People envy the autonomy they lack. This is the crux of the matter, a sentiment that resonates far deeper than many care to acknowledge. In a world where conformity often reigns, the solitary individual embodies a subtle rebellion. You do not grant open access to your emotions, you do not provide detailed blueprints to your decisions, and you do not operate on a system where others can dictate your actions. This, above all else, generates frustration because control in its myriad forms is the unspoken currency of human interaction. Most relationships, friendships, and even familial bonds are subtly interwoven with exchanges of influence. I need your reaction. I need your response. I need you to shift according to my desires. But with you, these established protocols are rendered ineffective when the conventional tactics, guilt, manipulation, social pressure, misinformation, prove futile against your unyielding spirit. It instills a sense of powerlessness. And feeling powerless is anathema to many. In reality, envy often masks a deeper-seated resentment. The source of this anger is not your being, but rather the impossibility of swaying, molding, or possessing you. You refuse to be a player in their orchestrated drama. And in response, they cast you as the antagonist of their narrative. The most stinging aspect for them is the naturalness with which you embody this autonomy. You do not appear to be consciously resisting external forces. You simply exist in a realm where their interference holds no sway. This level of self-possession is scarce, highlighting the dependence many have on external validation. You are living proof that wholeness is attainable without constant attention or approval, and this shakes their very foundations. Control is addictive, and when it cannot be exerted upon you, envy emerges as a defense mechanism. It is easier to harbor resentment than to admit an addiction to the opinions of others. They envy the transformation of solitude from a perceived punishment to a source of empowerment. They envy the freedom with which you move unburdened by the need for external permission. They envy the quiet strength derived from self-governance. Ultimately, the issue lies not with you, but with the liberty you represent. You are a reminder that control is only effective upon the willing, and your unwillingness is a truth they struggle to reconcile. Number 2, your quiet amplifies their inner turmoil. Your quiet amplifies their inner turmoil. This is a primary reason why others harbor envy, often without fully comprehending the underlying cause. Most individuals harbor a deep-seated fear of solitude, for the silence forces an unavoidable confrontation with the self. They require a constant stream of stimulation, ceaseless conversations, background noise, or a distraction of some form, merely to feel alive. The moment stillness descends, their insecurities clamor for attention. And yet you are serene, content, and unwavering in your solitude. This deeply unsettles them as you inhabit a space they find uninhabitable. Many mistake superficial connection for genuine intimacy and incessant activity for meaningful progress. They engage in group conversations, endless communications, social gatherings, and consume copious amounts of media, not out of genuine fulfillment, but as a method of self-numbing. This constant barrage of stimuli serves to obscure the underlying emptiness they experience when left to their own devices. Conversely, you not only tolerate the quiet, but you flourish within it. This is a strength that many secretly covet yet cannot master. It is the reason for their envy. You have cultivated a life where tranquility is not awkward, but rather empowering. In truth, solitude is a form of self-discipline. It requires inner fortitude to sit with one's thoughts without seeking escape. You have honed your capacity to find equilibrium and clarity in the absence of perpetual stimulation. Consequently, your mind is more focused, your spirit is more at peace, and your decisions are imbued with greater purpose. Others can sense this difference in you, even if they struggle to articulate it. It is not merely your solitary lifestyle. It is the transformative effect your solitude has had upon you, in stark contrast to the draining dependency others have on external distractions. Envy arises because you represent the potential they aspire to achieve. They desire your composure. They desire your ease. They long to understand the feeling of not panicking when the external world fades away. Rather than acknowledging their addiction to distractions, they project their frustrations onto you. They may brand you as eccentric or withdrawn, as it is easier to cast stones than to confront the underlying truth you possess an inner stability that they lack. Ultimately, your solitude not only exposes their dependence on external validation, but also their fear of their inner selves. It is why your peace casts such a stark light upon their disarray. They envy you not only for embracing solitude, but for achieving wholeness in the silence they actively avoid. Number 3, indifference is perceived as a personal affront. To the insecure, indifference is perceived as a personal affront. This is why your tranquility can be more aggravating than any outright argument. When someone seeks to provoke, spread negativity, or initiate conflict, they are essentially seeking a reaction. They desire confirmation that they possess the power to elicit a response from you. However, when you remain unmoved, refraining from retaliation, it is interpreted as a personal rejection. To an insecure individual, your lack of response is not seen as serenity. It is seen as dismissal. And few things wound the ego more than feeling insignificant. In reality, most individuals thrive on recognition, even in the form of negativity. They would prefer your anger, insults, or even hatred than your complete indifference. Why? Because conflict in any form still binds you to them. It demonstrates their continued influence over your attention. However, your indifference severs this connection. It renders them inconsequential. And for individuals whose identity hinges upon being acknowledged, this invisibility is unbearable. Your refusal to react exposes the fragility of their ego. They begin to question the effectiveness of their words or actions. They wonder if they lack importance, influence, or the ability to provoke a reaction from you. It forces them to confront the possibility that they hold no real power over your emotions or choices. And this realization cuts deeper than any overt insult could. This is why they envy your composure. It is not simply that you refrain from confrontation, it is that your stillness reveals the emptiness of their aggression. What renders your untroubled nature so threatening is that it redefines the very concept of strength. In a world where force is often equated with power, you demonstrate that true power lies in the ability to maintain equilibrium amidst chaos. Insecure individuals resent this because it renders their methods of control ineffective. They cannot bait you, they cannot manipulate you, and they cannot draw you into their turbulent world. You simply refuse to participate. Fundamentally, they envy your ability to maintain inner stability without resorting to external drama. Your unwavering spirit makes them feel diminished because it exposes the frailty of their own self-worth. You are not intentionally rejecting them. You are merely prioritizing your own well-being. But to someone governed by insecurity, this self-prioritization is perceived as the ultimate rejection. And that is why they struggle to accept it. Number 4, your individuality disrupts established social hierarchies. Your individuality disrupts established social hierarchies, a truth that is rarely openly acknowledged. From a young age, society instills the belief that belonging is synonymous with safety. Individuals are taught that membership within a group ensures protection, acceptance, and validation. However, when you confidently navigate life independently, you shatter this illusion. You demonstrate that survival, tranquility, and fulfillment do not necessitate the support of a collective, and this realization shakes others to their core. Groups often maintain cohesion through shared insecurities. They bond through collective grievances, gossiping, and a strict adherence to established norms. Group identity is forged not through individuality but through conformity. Each member adheres to the same unspoken rules, adopting similar appearances, adopting similar speech patterns, sharing common humor, disliking the same individuals, and conforming to similar thought patterns. It creates a perceived safety net for those who fear standing out. Then you emerge, disrupting the established order by existing outside of this system. You do not rely on the backing of a group, and this makes others feel exposed. If you can stand strong alone, it compels them to question their reliance on numbers. The solitary individual becomes a silent challenge, representing an alternative path. You are living proof that self-reliance is a viable option. Others envy you because you are a testament to the fact that they sacrificed their individuality to fit in when they did not need to. Rather than confronting this truth, they may portray you as peculiar, detached, or unsociable. It is easier to cast you in a negative light than to acknowledge the fact that they relinquished their authenticity in pursuit of security. What they struggle to reconcile is the shift in power dynamics that your independence creates. Within a group, power is distributed through approval, but you are not dependent on their affirmation, digital approval, or accolades. This strips the group of its influence over you. They cannot punish you with exclusion, as you never relied upon their inclusion. They cannot silence you with disapproval, as you do not seek their validation. You have transcended their control, and this loss of influence breeds both fear and envy. At its core, you are not merely a solitary individual. You are a living contradiction to the ingrained belief that belonging is essential. Your life demonstrates that inner peace is not attained through conformity, but through cultivating wholeness within oneself. And this is what threatens their group identity the most. Your undeniable proof that the collective was never a necessity. Number 5. Self-sufficiency dismantles manipulative tactics. Self-sufficiency dismantles manipulative tactics, which is precisely why individuals may feel both envy and resentment towards you. Most social structures, whether familial, friendly, or professional, function on a subtle system of dependence. Approval serves as the currency, while validation acts as the leash. The more reliant you are on others, the more susceptible you become to their control. This is a tacit understanding, even if unspoken. However, when your actions demonstrate a lack of reliance on external approval, their usual manipulative methods become ineffective. This is when admiration subtly transforms into resentment. Manipulation thrives on vulnerability. If you crave acceptance, others can exploit your insecurities. If you seek belonging, they can exert social pressure. If you require their resources, they can dangle them as a form of bait. However, self-sufficiency severs these manipulative ties. You do not seek validation. You do not compromise your values for approval, and you do not adhere to a script written by others. Suddenly, the tactics that prove effective on everyone else fail when applied to you. And this is often perceived as a personal affront by those who derive power from control. In truth, self-sufficiency reveals the fragility of manipulation. It is only effective on those who are susceptible to its influence. Once you demonstrate a lack of desperation for belonging, the game ends. This is when the facade of concern crumbles, revealing the underlying resentment. For if they cannot manipulate you, they cannot control you. And if they cannot control you, You are a testament to the limitations of their power. What truly bothers them is the appearance of your freedom. You operate according to your own principles, make decisions autonomously, and exude a confidence that stems from a lack of fear of solitude. This level of freedom feels threatening to those who rely on manipulation to maintain their standing. Your independence reveals the chains that bind them, and instead of attempting to break free themselves, they redirect their frustration towards you. Ultimately, self-sufficiency is not merely about solitude. It is about demonstrating an invulnerability to emotional blackmail. You cannot be swayed by flattery, deterred by disapproval, or trapped through guilt. Consequently, you are not a suitable target for manipulators. You are a mirror they loathe to confront as you remind them that true power does not stem from controlling others, but from mastering oneself. Number 6, your authentic energy becomes a target. Your authentic energy becomes a target. Individuals may struggle to articulate it, but they can sense it. Energy precedes words, and when yours enters a space, it disrupts the established order. Most individuals operate on a similar frequency, predictable, superficial, and shaped by societal trends. When you possess something distinct, something refined and authentic, it unsettles them. They struggle to categorize you, and this confusion often morphs into envy. What they envy is not merely what you do, but your inherent essence. It is your aura, the indescribable presence that distinguishes you without conscious effort. Some individuals dedicate their lives to seeking attention, yet you can enter a room quietly and alter the atmosphere. This type of energy cannot be purchased, replicated, or imitated. It is cultivated through authenticity, inner reflection, and a refusal to conform. That is why it is so disconcerting. It reminds them that their efforts to project a certain image still fall short of what you naturally possess. When individuals are unable to replicate your essence, they resort to the next best course of action, attempting to devalue it. They might label you as peculiar, arrogant, or unsociable, not because these labels are accurate, but because it is easier to discredit what they do not understand than to acknowledge that you possess something they lack. Their envy is essentially a reflection of their own limitations. They sense that your energy stems from a place they are unlikely to reach as long as they remain on autopilot, and this realization stings. The irony is that your aura does not demand attention, it merely commands it. You are not intentionally seeking to prove a point or draw attention to yourself. You are simply existing authentically. And that is enough to unsettle those who rely on masks and external validation to feel seen. Your unique essence highlights their perceived ordinariness, and instead of drawing inspiration from this, many seek to make you a target in order to protect their egos. At its core, your energy is threatening because it dispels illusions. It demonstrates that power does not stem from belonging to a group engaging in constant noise or seeking external validation. It stems from aligning with one's true self. And because this alignment is rare, it is often met with both admiration and resentment. You are not obligated to explain or defend it. The very fact that you are targeted is a testament to its value. Number 7, solitude is misinterpreted as superiority, which wounds fragile egos. Solitude is misinterpreted as superiority, and that is why it can be deeply wounding to the egos of others. You are not walking around projecting superiority. You are not engaging in malicious gossip or flaunting your untouchability. Yet the moment you decline to participate in gossip or petty arguments, people may see it as you silently declaring, "I'm above this." And for fragile egos, that's often enough to trigger feelings of resentment. The truth is, many people are trained to find belonging through compromise. They laugh at jokes they don't actually find funny. They agree with opinions they don't fully believe, and they join in behaviors that don't sit right with them, all just to avoid feeling excluded. When you decline to participate, you're not just opting out. You're exposing the fact that they settled. That alone feels like judgment, even when you haven't said a word. Egos are delicate because they run on comparison. They constantly measure themselves against others, needing proof that they're not at the bottom. So when you don't engage, the ego doesn't see it as neutrality, it sees it as superiority. It whispers, "Who do you think you are, too good for us?" And instead of admitting that your boundaries challenge them to raise their own, they label you as arrogant. This way, they protect their pride without having to face the truth. What eats at them most is that your lifestyle carries a quiet dignity they can't fake. You don't need to announce your choices or justify your boundaries, you simply live them. That calm certainty feels like power, and in a society addicted to loudness, quiet power gets mistaken for elitism. They don't realize your distance is about protecting peace, not elevating yourself over anyone. But here's the twist: in a way, their misinterpretation reveals something important. Your refusal to lower yourself does put you on a different level, not because you're superior in worth, but because you're stronger in discipline. You choose peace over pettiness, clarity over confusion, and authenticity over approval. That difference is enough to sting egos built on shallow validation. So while you may not mean to project superiority, the fact that others interpret it that way shows how deeply your boundaries disrupt the fragile scaffolding of their pride. What feels like an insult to them is simply you living with standards they never learned to honor. Number 8. Your peaceful autonomy shines a spotlight on their own self-inflicted limitations. Your peaceful autonomy shines a spotlight on their own self-inflicted limitations, and that is precisely why it bothers individuals so profoundly. In a world characterized by constant reactivity, where individuals are perpetually entangled in arguments and drama, the one who maintains their composure becomes a perceived threat. Peace is often mistaken for weakness, with the assumption that a lack of retaliation implies a lack of inner strength. However, true peace is not passivity. It is a manifestation of self-control. It is the ability to confront chaos without allowing it to influence your emotional state. This is the essence of dominance, a form of power that few are able to achieve. Consider how society conditions individuals seek attention at all costs, defend every perceived slight, and react to every provocation. Individuals dedicate countless hours to online confrontations with strangers, crafting witty comebacks or mentally rehearsing responses to past situations. They perceive this as strength, when in reality it highlights their dependence on conflict. They are bound by noise. In contrast, your refusal to engage renders you untouchable. When you choose to disengage rather than fuel the fire, you demonstrate that your emotions are your own, not susceptible to the manipulation of others. This level of self-mastery is rare and it unsettles those who lack it. What makes your peace appear so powerful is its ability to deny others the desired reaction. Individuals often seek to draw you into their turmoil as a means of validating their chaos. When you refuse to participate, it is not merely frustrating. It is humiliating, stripping them of the illusion that they can control you. And when control is relinquished, their sense of dominance is also diminished. The irony is that those who envy your peace may attempt to discredit it as weakness, portraying you as passive, fearful, or overly reserved, while in reality they are projecting their own frustrations, recognizing deep down that maintaining inner peace is far more challenging than giving in to anger. Peace demands self-discipline, inner balance, and the wisdom to choose one's battles judiciously. They do not resent your composure, they resent their own inability to achieve it. Your peace is not the absence of power, it is its highest form. It signifies that you are in command, not merely untouched by chaos. And the reason this is so infuriating is that your tranquility exposes their lack of self-control. You are not merely untroubled. You are in command of your inner world, and that is a power they may never possess. Number 9, your resilience throws their own compromises into stark relief. Your resilience throws their own compromises into stark relief, a truth that many find difficult to acknowledge. Deep down, many individuals harbor a secret desire for the very things you embody daily. They may dream of severing ties with superficial acquaintances, distancing themselves from toxic familial relationships, and freeing themselves from the constraints of group thinking. Yet when confronted with the opportunity to act, they hesitate. They choose to remain. So there you have it. 9 reasons why your solitary nature, your independent spirit, and your quiet strength might actually be sparking envy in those around you. It all boils down to this: you're a living, breathing example of what it means to be truly free, to be at peace with yourself, and to live life on your own terms. And that, my friends, is a powerful thing. It's a beacon of hope and a challenge to the status quo, and it's no wonder it can ruffle some feathers along the way. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever experienced this kind of envy? Do you have any insights or questions you'd like to share? Leave a comment down below. I'm genuinely interested in hearing your perspective and getting a discussion going. And if you found this video helpful, or if it resonated with you in any way, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future explorations of the inner life and the power of self-discovery. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.